Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, Less Known Classics. This is episode number 1945 and Doubleshot number 1839. Now, this one is, you might think, is there a theme with this one? Like something going to be? Yes, the theme is espionage. Yes, basically spy-like characters for this one. First up is a mini-series from Marvel Comics featuring U.S. Agent, a.k.a. John Walker, one of the Captain Americas over the years. This is the third volume for his series of mini-series. He's never technically had an ongoing series before. Nope, it's always been a mini-series. And they've always been the same number, roughly about 5 issues. I believe this actually was the first one released in at the time last year. I think it was first one released in over 20 years he's ever had one. Now, this of course came out just last year. And this is actually one of 3 limited series released last year for the Captain America franchise. Along with United States Captain America, which this book did lead into that one. And also Captain America / Iron Man. This book is written by Christopher Priest, which I believe this actually was the first series from Marvel in years. I think the last book he wrote for Marvel was a Black Panther annual, but the last series he wrote was Black Panther. Because it's just simple how it is. And this is another character that he writes who is not black. Because that was basically an article I read, the reason why he decided to write Deathstroke. He chose Deathstroke because he wasn't black. Because he was getting tired of writing black characters. He may be someone who's black. He needed to write someone who's not black. That's why he chose Deathstroke. Do you think he did for a U.S. agent? Who knows? In case you're curious, though, yes, this is Christopher Priest, a former Jim Owsley. In some books, he's credited just simply as Priest, just by his last name. But this is Christopher Priest who wrote this series. Now, the artwork in this series is done by Georges Jenny. Now, this book is, now here's the thing. This was the first thing John Walker featured in since 2020 Forceworks. He had been decommissioned by the U.S. government. You can't exactly use the U.S. agent, despite the fact wearing the frickin' costume. As for why he was discharged, that actually was never explained in this miniseries. Just he was discharged. He was technically not U.S. agent, so the title is called U.S. agent. And he's basically dealing with some domestic stuff. That's most what this miniseries is. Is he still going to be a jerk? Yes, he is. Also, it's revealed he has a sister. Now, I knew about the parents. The parents, that was first when he was Captain America. They mentioned here his time as Soup Patriot. Which, yes, I think Christopher Priest did confirm with this book here that he was Soup Patriot, because that was heavily rumored he was Soup Patriot. Soup Patriot, I don't know who that ID is identity John Walker had before he was Captain America. We also his Bucky Barnes, his Bucky for this from his run as Captain America, Battlestar. He shows up in this series. We also have a new U.S. agent who's black. Why the heck this guy is? He claims, oh yeah, he's not U.S. agent, I am. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And it's also a guy I think he's master. It's like, what the heck? Like, it's so confusing. Now, John Walker himself is written to be less of a jerk than usual, because normally he's real over the top being a jerk. That's normally how he's written. Also, apparently, shield keeps melting. Yes, that's something weird about this. In case you're curious though, normally you think of U.S. Age, you think of this attire, which is the old costume when Steve Rogers was known as the Captain, and this costume was given to John Walker, with the exception of the early 2000s. Generally put, he's worn this costume. Yeah, 2000s he decided to be like a SWAT, basically the best way to describe his look from the early 2000s, it's just a rip-off of Judge Dredd. And here, we have a brand new attire for him for the first time. This is probably his third official attire he's had as USA. The first new one he's had in 20 years. Because he's worn this like outfit. This is also over here with a pizza gag with the guy who he beats up, though he's able to deal with that. We also appearance by Shield Helicarrier in here. Yes. There's even a mention here what happened from the pages of New Avengers, from Al Ewing from New Avengers, where he mentioned the American Kaiju stuff, which is awesome the fact he brought that up. Yes. But not really what happens in this series per se. But we also have Valerie Cooper pop up in here. Now, at one point we have, well, his sister making out with somebody. I thought that was John Walker. Like, wait, did John Walker make his sister? No, I think that was supposed to be the other U.S. agent. I couldn't really tell who it was in this book because the artwork basically concluded to find either it was the other U.S. agent or it was Battlestar. My think it was probably Battlestar. And apparently his sister's got purple hair. Now, part of this miniseries, I never knew he had a sibling. I knew he had parents who apparently were murdered at some point. Yes. Now, John Walker, when he was Captain America, he was a very violent Captain America. Much more violent than Steve Rogers was. To the point where he put 2 members of the Watchdogs, he put them in the frickin' hospital in comas. That's how violent the guy was. Yeah, of course, there's all political stuff. The reason why he became Captain America back in the 80s during the Reagan administration. Yes, the Reagan administration. But this actually is a pretty good miniseries. Not terrible. Is it basically as good as the previous ones? I'll probably get a chance to review those soon when I get a chance to talk about the first 2 mini. I think I talked about one of the miniseries before, but this, not bad. Give this book a 9 out of 10. Yeah. Great to see the show hair color in here, which I thought was so awesome. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Alright, next up it is another espionage stuff. We have Ian Fleming's James Bond presents Felix. It's called Ian Fleming's James Bond Felix Leiter. Yes, the CIA agent who is James Bond's best friend in the franchise. Now, you probably know this thing about his hand, per se. Now, those of you familiar with the movie version of the character, where he normally is a normal flesh and blood guy, with the exception of having to live and let die, he normally escapes without basically harm, or not only that movie, but also the film No Time to Die. You see, this ties into some of the old Ian Fleming stuff. Now, in case you're curious though, what happened to his hand? What happened in the original novel of Live and Let Die, where he got his arm and leg bitten off by a shark? Yes, a freaking shark. Yes?
Grandma needs us to come stand up her gargantuan sunflower. It's tipped over. And she says it's going to need all 3 of us to pick it up.
Okay.
Just take us like 10 minutes.
Alright. I have to basically stop this.